Hello, everyone. It is a beautiful day to react to crazy Twitter threads. Threads that I just can't wrap my mind around because they are so insane. So let's begin. Fat is lovely and protective, actually. Let's dismantle the myth that fat doesn't have health benefits, shall we? It protects your bones from growing brittle as you age. There's a higher life expectancy for fat people because since fat causes the body to create thicker muscle beneath it to support it, there's a stronger chance we survive heart attacks. That study begrudgingly admits that because muscle is metabolically expensive, then since fat people technically have so much of it to support their fat, that fat people are essentially walking tanks of protective armor. The obesity paradox contradicts everything we surmised about bodies from the BMI and the Quetelet index which preceded it. Both have been debunked because we're learning in true scientific fashion that our understanding of physiology and nutrition have been compromised. Really quickly though, in case anyone has any questions like, but I heard it causes cancer and diabetes, etc., I've got some resources for you. Correlative isn't causative, and weight cycling, capitalism, and genetics increase mortality. I'm gonna pause right there. Capitalism increases mortality. Everybody lives within capitalism. You can't say capitalism increases mortality unless you're talking about a time period where capitalism didn't exist, because everyone lives within a capitalistic society. Fat people are more likely to survive car accidents. Yes, you read that correctly. Shout out to BFS for supplying this gem from their blog, but it's an easy read, you can find it here. Again, being fat is like being an armored tank. When people say that they feel good after losing weight, what's most likely happening is something akin to mental illness. That's the result of the mind tricking the body to fulfill a rewards-based system. The body may be releasing serotonin in response to stress because the following occurs when you attempt to lose weight, depending on how long you do it, your genetics, etc. Your body cannibalizes by eating through its muscle. Your immune system weakens and you become more susceptible to diseases. Anything you've gotten genetically but didn't increases tenfold. You stop being able to regulate temperature properly. Your body starts gradually shutting down different systems of your body in order to maintain itself when it's in starvation mode. Areas of your body like skin, nails, hair become ruined and compromised. You may develop IBS or other stomach issues. So if all of those symptoms sound extreme for someone experiencing general weight loss, it's because the link that they provided here is for a study based on anorexia. So when they said that when people feel good after losing weight, and that's because of mental illness, it's because they're pretty much saying that anyone who says they feel good after weight loss has developed anorexia. So overall, fatness, while not risk-free because no one's genetics are 100% risk-free, contributes to an overall decrease in mortality and an increase in the quality of life against factors beyond one's control and as one ages into old age. Oh my god. Okay, not only did they only refer to weight loss in terms of the extremes, like developing a severe restrictive ED, but they said in the beginning that there's a higher life expectancy for fat people, and they used the obesity paradox to support this. But the obesity paradox does not say that fat people live longer. It says when it comes to heart attacks, fat people survive them better than thinner people. It has nothing to do with a higher life expectancy. There was nothing in this thread that even hints at an increased quality of life if you are fat. Heart attack survival and car crash survival aren't indicators of an increased quality of life. And any attempt to lose weight isn't automatically going to cause you to develop a mental illness, so we can ignore that entire section of the thread. The end of this thread also said that it contributes to an overall decrease in mortality. No, it doesn't. It contributes to a small decrease in mortality when it comes to heart attacks and car crashes. Very specific things. It does not lead to an overall decrease in mortality. They took like the 3 good things about being fat and were like, see? No risk of being fat here. And if you even try to lose weight, you will develop a mental illness. But this creator has some of the craziest takes I've ever seen. There's also this tweet that says, the overlap between white entitlement and thin entitlement is wild, because thin people act like Lizzo existing, and there being a limited and laughable plus-size section in 5 out of 20 major retailers means there's suddenly a fat supremacy movement, and they're being replaced. What? But this tweet has nothing on this next one, which says, what if I told you that all health professionals are eugenicists? The entire system needs dismantling, not just some of it. That's great. Sowing distrust between people in the medical system. Love to see it. But it doesn't end there. This tweet says, Fat people should never be super overweight or else they're killing themselves. Because whether it's due to a combination of weight cycling, thyroid issues, or other medical problems which have to do with a lack of access or eating a lot of food, you're arguing whether healthcare should be earned. No. There was nothing in that statement about healthcare or anyone's access to healthcare or whether someone needs to earn healthcare. They just said this quote and then pulled a random argument out of nowhere that had nothing to do with the quote itself. But let's continue. Because usually what it is, people who are naturally fat who might gain it from stress and a combination of weight cycling and have a debilitating disability or medical issue, which may make them larger and they can't treat immediately. But sometimes bodies are just like that. But we're not supposed to be fat, you might say. According to who, honey? Historians, nutritionists, fat liberationists, health researchers, etc. have all discovered that fat, trademark, only became pathologized at the turn of the 19th century with capitalism. That isn't true. There are literal medical texts that are thousands of years old that talk about the health risks of obesity. Even ancient civilizations, from the Persians, the Chinese, the Egyptians, have writings about how they observed that obesity was unhealthy. To say that fat only became a bad thing at the turn of the 19th century is just a lie. A combination of colonialism, the Napoleonic Wars, which demoralized Europe and made them want to overcompensate via fitness, I'm learning, the moralization of food, which introduced good versus bad foods, and race science put an emphasis on starvation signifying good health. Oh, that was a lot. What is this statement? The Napoleonic Wars made Europeans want to overcompensate with fitness. What does that mean? I just imagine this story of a bunch of English people that were demoralized and beaten down by the war all came together and were like, you know how we should deal with this? Running. We should go for runs. So a bunch of peasants started going for runs day in and day out. That was until July 31st, 1807, when a crowd of runners stampeded the capital and accidentally killed 5 people. That horrible event was called the Tragedy of the Running Peasants. That's when the government realized that public exercise wasn't safe. And that, my dear, is how indoor gyms were created. Honestly, I think that story is just as believable as what this tweet says. Also, why would race science put an emphasis on starvation signifying good health? That statement doesn't make any sense. Nothing about this thread makes sense. But that is the point of looking at them, so we'll move on. Soft eugenics comes in the form of dating biases that minorities encounter when they visit dating sites, and the darker, fatter, and more disabled they are, the less likely they are to get normative, able-bodied people to date them. I'm going to be blunt. Oh no. If you aren't venturing outside your bubble sometimes to see if you have chemistry with someone who's not labeled as desirable by our greater oppressive society, you're actively participating in the oppression of them. It doesn't mean trying to date everyone who ticks every kind of box. It just means opening your goddamn mind to stop thinking that you should only have a buddy, long-term partner, or someone you'd want to have kids with isn't fat, disabled, or conventional. I need to reread that last sentence. I think there were a lot of double negatives in here. It just means opening your mind to stop thinking that you should only have sexual partners, long-term partners, or someone you'd want to have kids with isn't fat, disabled, or conventional. So that means you have to stop picturing the person you want to be with not being fat, disabled, or conventional. No, I don't have to do that. Nobody has to do that. See, this is where the fat acceptance rhetoric intersects with incel rhetoric. Saying that it's soft eugenics to not want to date someone because they're disabled or they're fatter or non-conventional is incel type. You're not oppressing people by not wanting to date them. Nobody is owed attraction, sexual attraction, romantic attraction. Nobody owes you that. And calling it eugenics means that they're saying if you don't want to date someone because of a trait, then you don't want their bloodline to continue. You're trying to indirectly kill off their quote-unquote kind, which is weird. Stop saying like this. The CDC lies to us about COVID and makes up fake mortality numbers. They did the same thing about fatness and got caught in the national media in the 2000s. The obesity epidemic is fake. Public health has wasted billions of dollars outright persecuting people over the size of their bodies. When presented with an actual pandemic, they did nothing but lie to us. The reason why people believe if they exercise and eat right, they won't be hurt by COVID is because public health eugenics and scapegoating fatness as a cause of all health problems for multiple decades. There has been zero pushback from disability activism against the eugenics that is targeting fat people for harm for literal decades. But when the CDC director had to apologize for her eugenics statements, it was to everyone but fat people. Because even the most hardcore activists will not include fat people. And that's where you continue to let eugenics take hold and flourish. You let fat people be acceptable targets because you accept it. You can all imagine every kind of better world except one where fat people exist. People who look at the evidence on everything else absolutely refuse to do so when it comes to fatness. And look what your fat hatred has brought you. You bargained our lives away for the promise of safety. You spent our pain like it was a coin that belongs to you. How did that work for you? Do you feel safe? Yes. Fatphobia in public health has brought us to this absolutely destroyed place. Public health is a tool of capitalist control. Public health is neoliberal personal responsibility politics. Public health is what they call it when it got too embarrassing to keep calling it eugenics. Public health literally begins with eugenics, and it has never reckoned with that. Whew. So the CDC is now a eugenics organization. Oh, and they made up a bunch of COVID numbers to make fat people look bad. I've seen a lot of misinformation when it comes to obesity and the obesity epidemic all across the internet. But threads like this are straight up conspiracies. Like harmful conspiracies full of misinformation and lies. Spreading the idea that the CDC is lying about COVID to make fat people look bad is something you'd hear off of the craziest, most out-of-touch forums on the internet. There's just so many levels of crazy in this thread. The reason people believe that if they eat right and exercise, they won't be hurt by COVID is because of public health eugenics. So now, basically, healthy eating is propaganda made to spread eugenics. I don't really care about Twitter. I don't use it regularly. And I know it's been falling to pieces with everything that's happening with Elon Musk. And I have never had strong opinions about that whole situation until right now. Twitter can burn. Twitter can die. I don't care. If it gets rid of threads like this, it's all worth it. But yeah, I think we've heard enough eugenics talk for a day. I hope you all enjoyed this, or at least were sufficiently frustrated by it. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next video.